Hello everyone, welcome to the online video tutorial series of Advanced Web Programming. I am Jishan, Assistant Professor in IT/ICT Department of LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. So in unit number 1, we learn today about the responsive web designing concept with the help of Bootstrap framework. So let's start with today's topic, Bootstrap introduction. So before that, we already discussed these topics, this regarding CSS, how the JavaScript is working, and what is the concept of asynchronous program. So before moving to the Bootstrap framework, we must know about the concept of responsive design in context of our web program. So let's understand what is the responsive design concept. So many times you realize that one web browser, what you are seeing, the output, the same output is not displaying in your mobile. The look and feel, the area covered by that particular design is not maintaining that ratio. So what is the solution of that, and what is the problem? We can define that. So when you are seeing this type of problem, we can see that that particular web design is not responsive. So responsive in term of what is the device, according to that our design can be adjusted. So suppose you are seeing something in your desktop, maybe that is your tablet or phone. According to that, if your design will be adjusted its particular screen type, then we can say that it is a responsive web design. So when we are talking about the responsive web design, it makes your web page look good and supported by all the devices. So basic necessity to define or to design our responsive web design is coder must use HTML and CSS purely. If we are focusing all the standards of W3C, which is supported by our HTML and CSS, then you can create our website or web design as a responsive. So when web page can be viewed using many different devices, it may be like desktop, tablet or phone, your web page should be look good and easy to use on all the devices. We can consider as a responsive web design. It is called responsive because when you use HTML and CSS to resize, because when you are resize your web browser, you can shrink, you can enlarge, all the types, your design must look good and adjust to the screen. So this is the basic idea of responsive web design. So what are the frameworks basically we are using in nowadays? So for that, one famous framework is W3.CSS and another framework is Bootstrap. Both the frameworks are easy to use and there are freeware, open source is available by the developers. But in your syllabus, we briefly discuss Bootstrap. So before that, what are the concept of W3.CSS? So it is a great way to create your responsive web design that provides the different type of styles that is supported by our W3 standards. So it makes it is easy to develop and look and feel is resized by your particular web browser according to your different screens for your desktop, laptop or your phone. Another framework which will be discussed in detail, that is your Bootstrap. So it is another most popular framework and that will be used basically HTML, CSS and jQuery and extended version of your JavaScript for designing responsive web pages. So now we are moving to our introduction part of your Bootstrap. So let's understand basic terminologies of Bootstrap, how it is working. So let's start our Bootstrap concept. So Bootstrap is a free front-end framework for faster and easier our web development, because when we are talking about the web development, at that time front end and back end both part will be there. So when we are talking about the basically front end, it must knowing by your designing portion. So how the layout is working, how they are displaying on your display screen web browser. So Bootstrap is basically used for your front end portion. Bootstrap includes HTML and CSS based designing templates that provides typography, forms, buttons, number of tables, navigation bars, number of modals. Then if we can use multiple images in many formats. So according to the designing uses, we can use this type of templates. It also gives the ability to create responsive design, what we are discussing in earlier topic. So let's understand what are the advantages if we are using the Bootstrap. So first is it is easy to use. So if anybody having the basic knowledge of HTML and CSS, we can easily use the Bootstrap. So next one is responsive features. So it creates a design such a way that all type of devices can support that design. So we can say that it is a responsive. Third one is mobile first approach. So in Bootstrap 3, mobile first styles are part of the core frame. So we can say that it is easily adopted by nowadays mobile screen. So now day by day mobile screen size will be changed nowadays. So what happened? We have to create a design core such a way that by default it is supported. Third one is browser compatibility. So browser compatibility is the major issue of the designing portion, as you know. But Bootstrap is providing one framework, basic structure like that. All the modern browsers are supported that type of function. So these are the advantages of Bootstrap. So now next question, how can we create responsive web design using the concept of Bootstrap? So basically we have two options for developers. One, download the Bootstrap from the particular basic site that will be given, getbootstrap.com, and second one is to include our Bootstrap using CDN. So CDN is nothing, it is a content delivery network from where we can fetch the data. So if you want to use Bootstrap, we have two options. Option number one, we are downloading the source, put in our system and follow the steps. And second one, directly from the CDN source code, we are fetching the Bootstrap classes. Let's understand both in detail. So if we are talking about the download the Bootstrap from the particular site, the link is given here. From that given link, you can download the source, and at that particular place, downloading instruction are given. You have to just follow the instruction and you can easily use the Bootstrap module. Second one is concept of CDN. So CDN is nothing but content delivery network. So it is one place from where user, or you can say that developer, can access those resources. So every time, instead of going to the server, one proxy server CDN is available there. So that CDN server is available with all the Bootstrap classes which will be required for our code. So whenever you are requesting for that particular data item, it send the request to the CDN proxy and it get the response. So if you are using this type of second number of option, then you doesn't require to download Bootstrap source from that particular website. You have to just include the Bootstrap classes in your HTML file. Automatically, it will fetch all the required Bootstrap classes from that particular CDN place. So mostly famously used our CDN is Max CDN. So Max CDN provides the support for Bootstrap CSS and JavaScript. And you have to also include the jQuery. So you doesn't bother about how can we adjust that, because there is a one basic syntax. You have to just include in your header file. After that, you have to use the different classes of Bootstrap according to the uses. Now moving to these basic classes which will be used by our Bootstrap. So in first step, you learn how can we include Bootstrap in our programming, and now we are knowing that which are the classes used by our Bootstrap. So basically Bootstrap is following two classes or two methods for responsive design. First is CSS, second is our JS, that is your JavaScript. So for CSS, Bootstrap is using one basic class, that is bootstrap.mean.css. So this Bootstrap class having all these type of inter classes that includes the functionality of CSS. Whatever you see on your Bootstrap template or Bootstrap particular website, that all the classes are stored by this module. Next is JS. So for that, Bootstrap is provide bootstrap.bundle.mean.js. So this bootstrap.bundle.mean.js includes both the JavaScript concept and jQuery concept, which will be used by our Bootstrap framework. Otherwise, there are two separate classes, both for jQuery and our JavaScript. From both of them, you can use anyone. Now we are moving to the Bootstrap source code. If you are seeing the hierarchy, how the Bootstrap folder is maintaining the data. So for that, this is the hierarchy. In Bootstrap folder, you are seeing number of packages or folder. From that, there is a dist folder that contains CSS and JS folder, and another Bootstrap folder having directly to folder JS and here SCSS. So basic JS and SCSS having all types of basic libraries which will be included by our Bootstrap. So this is the basic structure of basic directory structure of Bootstrap. When you are downloading Bootstrap from the particular website getbootstrap.com, and when you are downloading, and you can see this directory, and according to that these classes will be maintained. Now next, moving to the Bootstrap grid system. So this is the heart of Bootstrap. If you are saying that using Bootstrap we can maintain the responsiveness of my browser, responsive of my designing. So for that, which concept will be used by Bootstrap? Normal HTML, CSS is not maintaining, but Bootstrap is maintaining. For that, which concept is useful or which concept is responsible? Grid system of our Bootstrap. So what is grid system? Let's understand. So Bootstrap grid system allows up to 12 columns across the page. So what is the meaning of this line? Our whole web browser is dividing into the 12 columns, 1, 2, 3 up to 12, and in that 12 columns all the contents are exist, and the flexibility of accessing that data is totally depend up to the developer's hand. So developer wants how many columns I have to maintain in for that particular data items that is existed by that particular developers. So Bootstrap grid system is responsive, and the column will be rearranged according to the screen size. So when you are resizing your browser, according to that particular grid will be maintained. So how exactly it will do? Let's see this particular figure. So here span 1, span 2, span 3. So in our row number 1, and according to this figure, 12 columns are there, 1 to 12. So what happened here? Here we are dividing whole row into how many columns? 12 columns. So data will be placed in span 1, data 2 will be placed in span 2, data 3 will be placed in span 3. According to that, we can arrange 12 number of places in which we can place our data. So let's assume that if I want to create 12 columns, and according to that I want to put image. So first image will be putting in my span 1, second image will be putting in span 2. So total 12 columns are, then according to that we can add our content. Second possibility, according to that, if I want to take my whole screen size into the 3 equal part. So we have total 12 span. By default we have 12 span. So if I want to adjust my screen into the 3 equal part, then each will be a part of 4. So my span 1, according to the row number 2, first column of span of 4 columns, second one for 4, and third one for 4. So according to that we can divide our whole screen into the 3 parts. But now my requirement is that my first column, according to row number 3, my first column will be contains 4 span, and my another required data will be adjust into the remaining 8 span. So according to that we have to put for row number 3, 4 span will be used by our column number 1, and remaining 8 span will be used by our column number 2. So according to that, what happened, this scenario we can say that as per the requirement we can put the data. Suppose I want to use full screen. So here what happened, for all 12 columns we are using a single span. So this span contains how many columns? 12 columns. Suppose I want to divide whole screen into 2 parts. So according to that span of 6 columns, another span of 6 columns. So you must remember how the grid system is working. Without grid system, you cannot understand Bootstrap. So you must require to know the concept of gridding. All the data is, this is all this is only the columns you are seeing here, but all the data items what we are putting, that data should be the part of this width. Suppose I am saying that my image containing the this span of 4 columns. So my size of particular image will include only this portion, span number 1. Next portion is not used by that my image. So all these images, all these contents, what we are putting in the span, that will be a part of that width only. So now you are familiar with this grid system. So how can we manage that? So for that we have different classes. Suppose I am using phone, suppose I am using tablet, small laptops, okay, or desktops. According to that, classes are there. So XS, that is extra small, then small, medium and large. 4 categories are there. According to that, our screen size will be adjusted. And this is the width given by this particular specific bootstrap framework. But how can we write this in my coding portion? Yes. So for that we have to create div. So you already aware about the division tag. So division tag is responsible for doing this. So whatever we discuss about the grid system, for that we are taking a div class. So in div class we are taking first class is equal to row here. So that is the responsibility of this div class, that in first row how many columns are required. So for that basic structure is that div class is equal to call, then there are 2 asterisks here. So first and second asterisk is basically saying that what are the types of data I require. What are the types of data I require. So first I required which type of screen I want to create. For example, according to that, suppose I am creating for my small laptop. So for that my syntax will be MD. Suppose row number 1 I am creating design for my medium scale device. For that my device name is syntax is MD. But in how many columns I want to create that. So in medium, suppose I require 6 space. So my syntax, what is my syntax for that? So div class column MD dash 6. So what happened here? In first row, first column will be a medium size with 6 column. So it takes the width of 6 column. According to that, I will adjust second one. Suppose I require next 6 one for second one. So call 6, call dash, then MD dash 6 here. So in first row, I will create 2 columns. First for my medium, and that contains 6, and second one medium for 6. The same way you can design for the next row. So for the number of rows, you have to write this code again and again. So this is the concept of our particular bootstrap grid system. So this is the explanation how I already discussed. So the design number of column tags, that will be a part of particular our code. So you can see here the example. If I want to create 3 equal column using bootstrap, so my first column div class is equal to row, then div class call dash, this is for small medium, sm dash 4, and my div tag is ending. This is the normal text, you just call sm dash 4, so that data will be displayed. The same way for next 4 column, I am writing div call sm dash 4, for same way for call that sm dot 4 here. Suppose if I want to create 2 unequal columns, first is having the size of 4 and second is having the size of 8 here. So here div class is equal to row and div class called as sm dash 4. So that takes the size of 4 column here. But second one is taking the size of 8 columns. So according to the need, we can change the code here. Suppose I want to create for medium, so my code will be changed call dash md dash 4 here. So my syntax will be changed, that includes what is the particular requirement of my creating web page and what are the required size. So this is the basic structure of your grid system. Without grid system, you cannot understand Bootstrap. That's why you have to understand thoroughly what is the Bootstrap, how can we download, and what is the grid system. Now we are moving to the basic classes of Bootstrap. So basically there are lots of classes which are used by our Bootstrap. From that I'm mentioning some of them. So first class is alert box. Suppose if we want to create alert using the Bootstrap, for that normal alert will be there. Then alert success. So for the success, if we are saying that you are successful in doing something, for that alert dash success property we can use. Then alert info. Suppose you are providing information, when you are providing warning, when you are telling that this is the dangerous thing. So for that, all that purpose we are using the alert. But for different uses, Bootstrap is providing different property values. Then we are moving to the next class, that is image class. Image. So basically Bootstrap is providing various type of images. Normal image, that will be a type of what we are seeing. Then thumbnail type, then image will be part of image shape will be circle, image part will be rounded. For all that, different properties are given. If you want to create responsive image, whenever you drag your screen, image size will be changed automatically. That adjusts according to the browser screen. For that, image.responsive property is available. Next is button. So if you want to create button, then in our HTML we are using input type is equal to button, that display a normal button. Instead of that, here Bootstrap is providing various type of properties: normal button, default button, primary button, success button, then info button. According to this property, color and the shape will be changed. Next is progress bar. Suppose you want to see the progress, how many percentage of work is already done. For that, progress bar is. Then pagination is available, that the slot is available, 1, then slot, then box, and 2, box 3, 4. According to that, if you want to display some data, then pagination is there. Breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs is you see breadcrumbs where the particular path is given. For example, home / file name / another file name. Like this one directory structure, if you want to display in your screen, then breadcrumb will be there. Then the list item is there. If you want to create list item, and in that if you want to add number of list, at that time list group and list group item will be there. So this is some basic classes of Bootstrap. There are also another classes are available for creating forms, for creating validation. Lots of classes supported by Bootstrap. In next video, I will try to cover this Bootstrap classes and the practical portion of Bootstrap. How can we practically install the Bootstrap? What are the classes we required? How can we use CDN concept, and how this classes is useful to create a responsive web design. So this is all about our today's Bootstrap introduction part. Thank you for watching this video.